Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're setting out on a really fascinating journey to do exactly what it sounds like, decode the media we interact with every single day. Think of this session as me handing you a specialized decoder ring. We're constantly surrounded by information, right? Scrolling through feeds, watching the news, driving past billboards. But we rarely stop to examine the invisible architecture holding all those messages together. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and check out the blueprints.
Is the media you consume reflecting reality, or is it actually constructing it? It's a pretty provocative question. To answer that, let's break the fourth wall for just a second. Even this very explainer you're going through right now has a curated agenda. My agenda is to educate you, to present specific facts from our source material in a very specific order to help shape your understanding. Basically, nothing you consume is entirely accidental. It's all built.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. First up, who shapes our information? Second, the secret language of media. Third, constructing the illusion. And finally, Section 4, deconstructing an advertisement.
Starting right off with Section 1, who shapes our information? Now, what's really interesting here is how raw information actually reaches the public. We often hear that the media is just there to inform and educate, but it's way more active than that. Take curation, for example. Editors and librarians aren't just handing you raw data. They're filtering and simplifying really complex subjects so they actually make sense. Then there's dissemination, where educators and science communicators impartially spread researched info to help us navigate our civic life. The watchdog role is, of course, absolutely crucial for democracy, journalists actively exposing corruption. But shaping public discourse? That's a massive one. Information providers literally decide which subjects we're even talking about in the first place and exactly how they're framed.
Beyond those heavy-hitting democratic functions, media providers wear a ton of other hats. They preserve cultural heritage, they act as society's collective memory, and, crucially, they entertain. Honestly, even that reality TV show you binged last night is subtly shaping your worldview. I really want to emphasize this because we tend to think of information as just serious news broadcasts or dense textbooks, but all forms of content carry a message.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds into the secret language of media.
You might have actually heard this famous quote before from the Canadian philosopher Marshall McLuhan. It completely revolutionized the way we study information. He emphasized that the way information is communicated significantly impacts society. Basically, it means that the method, the channel, the actual medium used to deliver the content shapes our perception just as much as the content itself. You aren't just passively absorbing a message, you're absorbing the way it was delivered to you.
And this brilliantly illustrates what UNESCO calls media language. Understanding these media codes and conventions is just absolutely essential for media literacy. On one end, we have the tangible tools, technical codes like camera angles and lighting, along with written codes like headlines and captions. On the other hand, we have the more psychological tools, audio codes like background music that essentially tell you how to feel, and symbolic codes that imply deeper meanings in a scene. These codes never operate in a vacuum. They work together to effectively communicate. When you understand these conventions, you can immediately decode what the media is secretly trying to tell you.
Which brings us to Section 3, constructing the illusion.
When we talk about media representation, the absolute key word is portrays. As the University of Minnesota defines it, representation is how media portrays groups or ideas from a particular ideological perspective. It's not a mirror reflecting reality. It's a painting. Every single piece of media you consume is presenting a topic from a particular angle or value system. It affects our perception of ourselves and our surroundings because we're being shown a highly curated version of the world.
The British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC, gives us these 6 key terms to help grasp this concept critically. Think of it like an active assembly line. Raw reality enters the factory and undergoes construction. It gets put together using those codes we just talked about. Then comes mediation, the long process it takes to actually reach you. Next is selection, where creators intentionally choose what to include and, just as importantly, what to leave out. Then they apply anchorage, words that lock down the meaning of an image so you don't misinterpret their goal. Often, they rely on stereotypes, oversimplifying things for quick understanding. And finally, the finished product rolls off the line carrying a very specific ideology, a set of opinions or beliefs.
Let's apply this in Section 4, deconstructing an advertisement.
Imagine a classic advertisement featuring a bottle of Heinz ketchup, but the bottle itself is built entirely out of sliced tomatoes, accompanied by the text, "No one grows ketchup like Heinz." So the crucial point here is how this specific text acts as the anchorage. The image of a bottle made of tomatoes is visually interesting for sure, but the written code,
The anchorage tells you exactly how you're supposed to interpret it. They aren't saying they make ketchup, they're telling you they grow it.
Let's put this ad right through the BBC's assembly line. In terms of construction, every single element, the deep red color, the flawless lighting, the objects within the frame, was manipulated deliberately. For mediation, this ad didn't just magically appear, it went through a rigorous, lengthy transaction between a client, an ad agency, graphic artists, and researchers. They didn't just snap a quick photo on a smartphone. Look at selection. They actively rejected typical ideas, like just showing a colorful photo of a standard bottle. Instead, they selected an image that pushes a highly specific message. And what is that message? It all points to the ideology that freshness and simplicity are the absolute most valuable aspects of a product. By upholding the stereotype that fresh and simple equals good, the ad becomes incredibly effective. They aren't just selling a condiment here, they've literally constructed an ideology of freshness.
So what does this all mean for us? We've spent this explainer looking at the immense influence of media providers and the rigorous systems they use to construct representations of reality. But media and information literacy is a two-way street. It also examines the responsibility of those who receive information, you. So I want to leave you with a question to ponder. How do your own values, your beliefs, your sense of right and wrong, and your definition of truth affect and shape the media representations you choose to consume? You have the decoder ring now. The next time you look at an ad, read a news story, or scroll a social feed, ask yourself, what is the ideology here, and why was I selected to see it? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and definitely keep questioning what you see.